All right, welcome back to another episode on the channel. We have a very special guest here with us today. We have Emma Pace, and I'm going to pass it on to her, and she's going to tell you guys a little bit about herself and what she's all about.
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Emma, and I'm committed to Colgate University for 2023. I go to St. Thomas Aquinas. I'm in grade 11. I play hockey and cross country and soccer at school, and I recently got selected to play for Team Canada's U18 team in June. So I'm really excited about that. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the channel, and we're going to hop right into the interview with our first question. Just where'd you play your minor hockey, what level, and what was your experience like?
Yeah, so I started playing minor hockey actually in Kenora, Ontario. It's really far away, so you might not know where that is, but I played for Lake of the World or Lake of the Woods Girls Hockey Association for 2 years. And then my family moved to London, so I began playing for the London Develettes. I played double A hockey all the way through, which was obviously a great experience. And I always got to play with older kids. So that really pushed me to improve my game, and not always being the best on the team was always helpful for my development. And then obviously I had lots of great coaches and made great friends along the way. So that was really important too.
Well, it sounds like from what I've heard, the Develettes have produced some really good players. We had Madison on the channel a couple weeks ago, and now you, and both selected to the U18 team. So our next question is, what was it like going from your minor hockey, playing double A up, playing juniors, obviously with some older players?
Yeah, so I would say for me, the transition was a bit different just because of COVID. I made the junior team when I was in grade 10, which was last year, 2020. So I obviously, that whole season, we didn't get to play any games. So that was like kind of a development year, which it really wasn't great that we didn't get to play any games, but it made the transition playing games this year so easy. I was already like at that level and practicing with older kids. So I think last year was huge for development. Obviously wish we could have played games, but I think it made the transition with the speed and the physicality of the game really smooth for this year.
I'm glad to see you took some positives away from it, and it helped with the transition here. And I know some people, well, especially me being a trainer, but are curious, what kind of training do you do, let's say during the season versus what does your off-season training look like?
Yeah, so I would say between the two, they're really different. Obviously, we're on the ice a lot more in season, like 5 to 6 days a week, my team skates. So that obviously takes away from weightlifting and training like that. But I still train 3 days a week in season at Total Package Hockey, and I do like weight training. And then my team also does workouts, which are more cardio based before practices. So I do that 3 days a week too. And then off season, obviously, a lot more weight training. I usually weight train about 6 days a week. I mix in like a lot of cardio with that. I love to run. A lot of people probably know that. So in the off season, I definitely like to take advantage of the warm weather, get outside doing intervals, any sort of running, biking, anything like that.
Well, 6 times a week in the gym, plus cardio, plus probably skates in the off season. So it's a lot. You could argue it's like a full-time job when
Yeah.
you're trying to play at that level. Was there any difficult moments that you had to persevere through, maybe in your minor career or playing the juniors, obviously the pandemic, not playing any games, but anything else you could think of?
Yeah, I would say when I was younger, as I mentioned, like I always got the chance to play double A, which was often with older kids. So I would say like I was never really one of the best players on the team. So I was like definitely had to persevere through sometimes sitting on the bench a bit more, not getting that extra playing time. But I think at the end of the day, it just like helped my development and made me the hockey player I am today. So I think those experiences were hard at the time, but really benefited me in the long run.
Clearly, having the pandemic, not playing any games, um, I feel like that would be a tough situation for like trying to, get connected with these schools. Like, how are they going to see you play? So at what point was it, you started talking to these schools and having interest in you? When you were having these conversations, how did they come about and what were those conversations like?
Yeah, I would say so. I had a bit of a different recruiting process than most people just because NCAA rules changed kind of in the middle of my process. So when I was in about grade eight, I had a couple schools start to reach out to me, which was obviously crazy because I was so young and I didn't know what I wanted to do or anything like that. So, and then by the end of grade eight, I think it was April, the NCAA made a rule that the schools weren't allowed to talk to anyone until June 15th of their grade 10 year. Because of that, like young recruiting, it was really difficult on the kids. So obviously for about 2 years, I didn't hear from anyone because they weren't allowed to reach out, nothing like that. And that was through COVID too. So that made it even more of a challenge. But then last year, June 15th, I had quite a few schools reach out to me, which was obviously so exciting as it's been like a dream for a long time to go NCAA. And then the conversations were there. It's like they obviously know if they're recruiting you, you're a great hockey player. I think it comes down to like your grades in school are really important. And then as well as like what kind of person you are off the ice. You're going to school for 4 years, so it's really important that they like respect you as a person and that you have a great attitude, work ethic, everything like that. So I think it was a lot of getting to know you off the ice, as well as obviously your habits on the ice they like to talk about and stuff like that. So that's what most of the conversations were like.
Well, it's funny you say that because I did an interview with Ty Glover, who's playing Western Michigan D1, and he was saying the same thing. He was like, "Wow, I didn't
Yeah.
realize how much grades mattered and the outside stuff." Because he's like, "Well, if you're that good,
Mm-hmm.
I'll let the grades slide," but that's not the case from what I've heard.
Yeah, for sure. Grades are a lot more important than you may think. So you really got to focus on school.
And so you, like you said, you had a lot of schools reaching out to you, talking to you. So obviously, it's difficult to try and make a decision and pick one. So, just what went into your decision to go with Colgate?
Yeah, I would say the whole process was difficult coming out of COVID and then a little bit overwhelming just because it's so exciting, but you're also so anxious and nervous about it. But I would say like what stood out for me with Colgate is the kind of blend between great academics and great athletics. So they have obviously really recognizable degrees for academics, which is really important going to the US. I'm probably going to want to come back to Canada. So that's super important. And then like athletically, their coaching staff, their program, everything like that was just exactly what I was looking for. And I think I didn't really realize this until I went on my visit to Colgate. So that was really important and that really swayed my decision. But like, yeah, their hockey team is just like kind of well known. They've got a great winning culture and just the culture there is insane. So I'm definitely really excited to get there.
Were you able to go and visit in person?
Yeah, so I actually got to go October, I think 13th to the 15th was when I went. And then I ended up committing like October 26th. So it was actually my last visit. I got to visit 4 schools. So that was my last visit. And I think right away, like I got on campus and I was like, yeah, I definitely want to go here. And then the coaching staff obviously was so incredible there. And I was like, this is definitely the right fit. And I didn't want to wait too much longer. So I committed kind of right after my visit.
Thank goodness you didn't miss the last one or push it off. Oh, I've already visited three. So,
Yeah, for sure. It was funny because I was thinking, I was like, oh, should I go visit another one? But I was like, no, I really like this school. Let's go check it out. And it ended up being the right one. So, yeah.
so what advice would you give to some younger female hockey players looking to get picked up by, let's say, Division 1 school or a Canadian school?
Yeah. So I would say there's like 2 or 3 things that I would probably say. But number one, I would say like little details matter. You may not think in the time they matter, but little things like your work ethic, your attitude, the way you treat people, all that stuff adds up. And obviously, your work ethic on the ice, I think, is huge. Even if you're not the best player, coaches are going to notice your work ethic and how hard you're working out there. I would also say, like, never give up. If you get cut from a team or anything like that, you lose out on an opportunity. Don't give up. Just like keep it or allow it to inspire you to continue to get better because like hard work, I really believe hard work pays off. And I think if you don't give up, definitely good things will come your way. And then finally, just like keep a balance in your life. I think it's crazy the time commitment that hockey has and as well as school. So I think those two, it's really important to balance those as well as like hanging out, having a social life with your friends. I think that's huge too. So if you maintain a balance, I think it's really and put the hard work in, anything is really possible.
Some great advice from you there. I definitely feel like it inspired me a little bit listening to that. So um, thank you for sharing that. And I just want to ask if you have any final comments to wrap things up from your side at all.
I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered anything, but I would say just dream big. If you're young and you have a dream, I would just say go after it. Don't let anyone tell you can't do something. And yeah, thank you for having me on the channel.